Coming to you live from the Java House, down the street from AT&T Park, it's The Sports Junkies, featuring Thomas Bookwalter, Alex Simon, David Frias, and Ben Baker. Produced by Ben Baker.
Hello everybody, hello sports fans, and welcome back to another exciting edition of The Sports Junkies on Santa Cruz Community Television. I am Thomas Bookwalter and YouTube. I am Thomas Bookwalter along with our starting rotation of Ben Baker, Alex Simon, and David Frias, and we are on location today in San Francisco at the Java House, which is right behind AT&T Park along the Martindale, a great place to a lot of people like to come in and eat and hang out after a game or before a game, have a beer, have some soda, fries, hot dogs, they have everything here. Awesome place, definitely recommend checking it out. It's a great place.
Hey Thomas, did you say we're on the Woofadero?
No, I said the Embarcadero.
And Woofadero?
I'm not even sure where he's going with that, folks. So
and by the way, you said starting rotation. I thought it was only a 3-minute starting rotation, and you're the mop-up guy. I don't know.
Hey, have I been demoted to mop-up guy?
You never were close to being a starter.
I was the starter last year. Wait, our cameraman is the manager. Am I mop-up this year? Skip?
He says
Apparently I am.
He says you've been demoted to the minors.
Oh, I've been demoted to the minors. Okay.
Yes. Speaking of baseball.
With me, that would make sense. Speaking of baseball, you know, guys, we had a really fun year in 2012 in the entire Bay Area in terms of baseball. The Giants, of course, did what they did. We'll talk about that. They won the World Series. And the A's were one of the biggest surprises in baseball. Won the American League West. They did not win anything in the National League. They won the American League West and got to the playoffs. No one expected that, so we had a lot of fun. And so it's time to discuss this next season, 2013, what's going to happen. Before we do that, let's recap the A's. We're going to talk about the A's right now. And let's recap 2012 for a moment here. I mean, the A's were thought to be rebuilding. And many experts, thought the team would lose 100 games. In fact, one website was quoted, Ben, as saying, the A's won't be winning many games this year, and players could be traded in season as Billy V looks forward towards the future of the organization, which is what we pretty much all thought was going to happen. Well, instead of losing 100 games, they won 94 games, 68 losses, came back from being 5 out with 9 to play to win the American League West. Ben, what impressed you, or who or what impressed you most about the 2012 Oakland A's?
It was like Moneyball. They really played Moneyball last year. And,
sequel.
Yeah.
Moneyball 2, coming soon.
I think Josh Reddick was the big surprise. Cespedes was by no means a sure thing, but I think he went above and beyond expectations. The pitching staff, despite some injuries, was just incredible. It was just kind of like everything was clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, and you talked about we were calling it. If you want to compare it to a movie, I compared last year's A's to Major League. The Indians in Major League. Think about it. The owner wants to leave the stadium. They want out. They were expected to lose, and all of a sudden, okay, we're the champion. Now we're contenders now. Like in Major League.
Willie Mays Hayes, a whole bunch.
Yeah, that was Young Cespedes, right?
That's right.
Maybe with a little more power than Willie Mays Hayes.
Okay, maybe use Pedro Serrano.
Yeah, that's much better.
Pedro Serrano.
Who knows what he believes in coming from here.
Yeah.
I can see that. That's a big joke. That's for sure.
No, it's still front commercial.
And you know what? This Oakland team, to me, phenomenal season for these guys. The credit needs to go to this coaching staff. Especially Kurt Young, the pitching coach, but really for Bob Melvin to do what he did with this team. This was, again, the talent on this team is not a playoff talent team. He had so many rookies shuffling in and out, Anderson being hurt for a while. This was not a team that, to me, was a team that had the talent to get there. And it almost seemed as if they didn't care that they had talent, they just wanted to go out and win ball games. And for a manager to get a team to have that mindset, it's difficult. But Melvin was able to do it. And you look especially, they were about 15 games out in May, and they were the best team in baseball in the second half. They had humongous sweeps of the Rangers, obviously to win the season, win the division at the end. Even a 4-game sweep of the Yankees, when the Yankees basically sold out Oakland Coliseum. There was maybe a half Yankee fan, and you sweep them with multiple walk-offs. There are rarely do you see a team get 10 walk-offs The A's just happen to have 15 last year.
It's impressive.
That's a lot of luck, but it also is about a coaching staff giving a team a mentality saying, you are not out of the game until the 27th out. And they never said, to quote an earthquake kind of saying, they never said die.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, Dave, Alex mentioned how all the walk-off wins, and I think all of us have seen since really 1999 when the A's are at their best is when they're a really clutch team and getting a lot of walk-offs. I mean, the early 2000s with Eric Burns getting walk-off wins all the time, and Miguel Tejada and Terrence Long. I mean, those guys. So it seems like when the A's are the strongest is when they're clutch and get those walk-off exciting wins.
But I think they used their youth as a benefit, like being young and dumb. They're just going out there.
I'm happy to agree with that.
The talent, right? The talent. As long as you got the talent,
Young and dumb. I don't know.
And we're with the pressure. You're playing. Everyone's even us. Last year when we did the prediction show, we predicted Texas and the Angels, and then wherever else. And Oakland looked at that and say, well, we don't care. We'll beat Texas. We'll beat the Angels with their big lineup,
and I agree.
We'll take the AL West.
And part of that is just, and this is kind of where you were going with this, is not playing baseball because it's your life. You're playing baseball because you want to play the game of baseball. It's a game. You want to have fun. You play it like, again, they always say this about the teams that do this, but you play it with the 10 or 12-year-old enthusiasm that you had for the game when you were a kid. They reminded me of a team that was just happy to be at the ballpark every day. They wanted to be with each other. The Coliseum gives a very different baseball experience. It's almost Japanese in the sense where, the dugouts are wide open. There's nothing guarding you like you see in most of these modern stadiums. The dugouts are not dug into the ground, underneath the stadium. You're right there on the field. You can see, and especially like with the World Baseball Classic going on, you see like Japanese teams or teams on the Far East in the tournament with the dugouts, and especially in Latin America, all the players are like meeting the guys at home plate like you did when you were a little league or a high school kid or even in college at times. You don't see that very often now in the big leagues just because the dugouts are dug in. Oakland reminded me of a team that was out there wanting to be celebrating with each other, wanting the 25-man team to be there.
I think they had something to do, and that's the case when you have players coming from the minor leagues. And with Oakland, we had Cespedes coming from Cuba, and all these. And I think that was where the chemistry was built, is that they all had something to prove. Like, hey, this show that we're here to play baseball, and I just go by what other people are saying about well, at best we can finish third.
I do want to ask you, Thomas, because you were at that final game of the regular season when they clinched the division. Just because you were there, I want to ask, what was the atmosphere like with the fans? Because I know, especially with a lot of the diehards, but even at the end when a couple people that were, the bandwagoners, as we like to say, but that kind of followed A's baseball but didn't want to be that into it. Once they got into it and once the A's really got rolling.
It was rocking. I mean, from the moment the gates opened, and I didn't get there when the gates opened, but it was, our cameraman Adam was there too. He's giving me the thumbs up. That was awesome. I mean, people, even in the game at one point, I think it was the 4th and 5th inning, A's were down 5-1. And no one was like, okay, well, fine, at least we're in the playoffs. No, we're coming back. We're winning this division. The fans stayed in it the entire time, and when Coco Crisp caught that final out, that was one of the most fun things to be at, and that was exciting.
They're still hardcore A's fans. They're just waiting for.
But let me just say, Alex.
Same thing with the Giants. There was a lot of times 07, 08 where the Giants would be lucky to get 20,000 even in the magnificent AT&T ballpark. But success breeds fandom. And AT&T sold out for 2 straight years. And I bet Oakland will at least have a better attendance record this year. There's a lot of excitement. A's fans are being very vocal, especially in social media. There's a huge A's following on Twitter that's been vocal in the offseason about how excited they are for this year. And I think with what they have coming back, some of the pieces they've acquired, which I know we'll get into, they're going to have fun this year. It's going to be Bay Area baseball is one of the best now, especially with the talent at the big league level.
And Alex mentioned they're looking like they're having fun. And again, I think that goes back to what I was saying to you, Dave, that when they're at their best since 2000, they're the team that will come leaping out the dugout and just go, be hugging each other until 5 o'clock in the afternoon after a 105 game. I mean, they're just loving being there, loving it. I mean, did you see this? How much respect the A's and their fans got when they got eliminated by the Tigers. The Tigers were like pointing over like, nice job. Verlander was giving them a hand. I mean, their A's earned. That's also because Leland's a very classy manager, But they earned a lot of respect around baseball.
And I think also part of that is that the A's fans, especially, Verlander threw an absolutely phenomenal Game 5, and going in, you knew it was going to be tough, and then Verlander pitching the way he did. As much as A's fans were into it, they kind of got the realization in the 7th that this is where the season's ending, and it's not a fun feeling, but they more than anything wanted to show the love for their team, regardless of whether their season ended on their field or not. They wanted to show their guys how much they enjoyed the season, and really one of the best moments in baseball this year for me was seeing the amount of people that stayed in Oakland after you got eliminated from the playoffs to give their guys a standing ovation at the end of the season. And all the Ace players I know were, and they said this on.
And they were raving in the stands, they were raving at the fans. It was a great sight.
It was very close to beating Detroit. And I feel if they would have beaten Detroit, they would have been taken out. They would have been the World Series.
That would have been scary.
That would have been scary. I'm having 1989 flashbacks.
I think it was pretty close to happening.
And by the way, we are the Sports Junkies. We're doing an all-location shoot today from the Java House, beautiful downtown San Francisco along the Embarcadero, right next to AT&T Park. The thing that, the big thing for me with the A's last year, Alex, you mentioned the coaching and Kurt Young, and I think, you got to give him credit separately from the other coaches, what they did with this pitching staff. I mean, you mentioned it. These guys were so young. I mean, really the veterans were Bartolo Colon, and Brett Anderson. Anderson was hurt. Dallas Braden never came back. So really, for most of the season, until he got suspended, the veteran presence in the rotation was Bartolo Colon. Everybody else was a rookie in that rotation, and the way they picked it up and defied the odds, that was very impressive. I mean, just look at they were second in the AL in ERA, WHIP, runs, walks, and hits per innings pitched, and batting average against. They really did a good job.
Not to mention, they also gave up the second fewest amount of runs in the American League.
Absolutely.
And what I saw with this A's team was that these pitchers went out there, and a bunch of them were rookies like Malone,
A.J. Griffin.
Right, Griffin, Black,
Jared
Parker. All these guys were out there, and they weren't thinking, I'm a rookie, these guys, they didn't have that mindset, that rookie mindset. They went out there thinking, I'm going to pitch the game of my life today, and these hitters aren't going to touch me. And there's nights when even you have that mentality every night as a pitcher, but they had a presence that made me think they weren't rookies. And as much as they looked like rookies, on the mound, they did not have that rookie presence.
Well, Dave, let me ask you as we wrap up the pitcher staff real quick here. We talked about, I mentioned Brett Anderson, and he's obviously a big key as he's kind of a veteran presence in the rotation since he's been there longer. Are you concerned about Anderson's health and his history going into 2013? Do you think there's enough depth in the rotation if he misses time again?
I think there's definitely enough depth in the rotation. The question is, can they repeat their successes last year? Because now there's going to be scouting reports on all these pitchers. Pitchers are going to be aware. And I think A's realize that they need to have some veteran pitchers. That's why they signed Bartolo Colon. Even
with the steroid stuff.
So I think Brett Anderson, the lefty, if he can stay healthy, at least be there in the rotation. I think that's going to be a big help for the A's pitching staff. You need that mentor in a way. And Anderson and Colon, he'll probably be the fifth starter. So, if you can win 10 games, that would be great. But Anderson, we're looking at maybe 12 or 14 games possibly if he stays healthy. And I think that would be a real boost to the A's pitching staff.
Right.
In the way they're going to have, determining whether or not they're going to have a winning season.
Right, I think in terms of the depth, they do have a very impressive rookie that they're excited about is Dan Straley, who will probably start the season in the rotation until Colon's finished his suspension. And Andrew Warner, who they acquired from the Padres, he's starting the season in the minor leagues, but he'll be ready to get called up if needed as well. So they do have some depth, definitely, in the rotation. Let's switch gears here to the offense. Because, they had a pretty good year offensively, even though, obviously, Oakland Coliseum is not an easy park to hit in. Two of the most impressive contributors to the A's offense last year were newcomers Josh Reddick and Yoenis Cespedes. Reddick came over from the Red Sox. He had played he had never played in more than 87 games in his 3-year period. He never played more than 87 games. He played in 156 last year. He hit 32 home runs, broken 85 runs. And Cespedes, who you mentioned earlier, we called Pedro Serrano earlier, he came over from Cuba, 292, 23 homers, 82 RBIs. Now, why do you think, let's talk about Reddick for a second here. Why do you think Reddick, I mean, like you said, he never played over 87 games. What made him be able to be successful in coming to Oakland where, again, it's got to be a nice hitter's park, and he hit. He was a huge clutch hitter for the game. He had a lot of home runs.
Well, I don't know if this is it, but it could be that those are thought of as very opposite markets. Boston being an area where, fans. Boston fans are intense. They can get on you like New York fans if you don't
And
play
Philly
well.
fans.
Philly fans. And get on
I'm warming up my spitball. It's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Oakland is laid back. It's West Coast. It's everybody's friends with each other on the team. You're giving a lot of high fives. So maybe it was just somewhere it was a little more comfortable.
And also, Boston is an awful place for a left-hander to hit. You have Pesky's pole, which is at I believe 320, but then almost immediately the wall shoots back within about 5 feet from Pesky's pole. If you go 5 feet left, the wall's at 380. It is a terrible place for lefties to hit, and it's a very rare lefty to hit well at Fenway. So coming to Oakland, yes, it's not easy, but for a pole-hitting lefty like Reddick, you found some success.
Well, see, and that's the thing. I mean, just for a second here, you've been to Fenway Park. I mean, I think you'd agree that looking at Fenway on TV, it looks easy to right field. Look, it's a short wall. It's mistake illusion. It's an illusion. It mistakenly looks easy. Because look, you a short wall. The pole's right there. Just wrap around Pesky's pole. It isn't that easy. And you've been there. You've seen that. You've seen that firsthand.
That wall shoots back in right field very quickly. So for righty, you love it because you can basically hit a ball 280 feet and it's halfway up the monster. But for a lefty, it is kind of nightmarish, really, unless you're a dead pull hitter with a little bit of a wraparound speed.
Dave, we just mentioned Cespedes and Reddick. Of these guys, who do you think, might be more likely to suffer a letdown after the great 2012?
I'm going to have to say Reddick. I mean, I was really surprised how much he almost seemed like a veteran last year. If you asked me 2 years ago who Josh Reddick is, I would say, I don't know where he plays for. I mean, he had a very impressive first year with the Oakland A's, and I wouldn't be surprised if he hits maybe another 20 home runs, 270 and whatnot. I mean, I think that would be another successful year, but I see Cespedes as having a better year. I think he actually struggled in his first year. I mean, his full potential, he's 30 home runs and 300 batting average. And just recently, his family from Cuba, they were living in exile in the Dominican Republic, and they finally flew into the United States there in Miami, and he was pretty much overjoyed. His wife and his brother still live in Cuba, but he was very excited, and that probably takes a lot of the stress off his mind. He's going to relax more.
Yeah.
He's going to the second year.
Yeah.
So
And
I
I
would say,
think with Cespedes is that he's baseball's most recent threat at 40 homers and 40 steals. He has the speed to steal bases. I don't know the exact number that he had last year, but he is a very dominant player that really still is pretty young. I believe he's only 26 or 27. I don't know exactly, but he has a lot of potential coming up still, and I think he could do really well.
I would say, more expectation. I think Cespedes, like I said, we might have a letdown, but I really think that both of them, hopefully for the A's, that they both have another great year as far as offense, in the offense.
Well, I'm just playing devil's advocate, obviously.
Good job, Tom.
Yeah. Well, Ben, let me ask you. I mean, can this offense, which got in the middle of the pack last year, can they withstand a letdown year for one of these guys? Can they withstand it?
They could because they have a very, very strong pitching staff, and as we saw with the Giants, you don't necessarily need to have a team that's loaded with great hitters to win a championship. They could get by with pitching almost alone and then just kind of having the hitters come together and win a lot of tight ball games and have a torture of their own.
And to add to that,
It's torture.
the A's added 2 massive pieces in terms of bats that could help stabilize their offense top-bottom, and that's outfielder Chris Young, who's kind of going to basically fit in on outfield rotation from what I can tell. With Reddick and Cespedes are kind of set, but he'll fit in with the rotation with Coco Crisp, and I think they're going to have a really legitimate outfielder. And then Jed Lowry, he's been a proven bat in the he really proved himself as a lefty contact guy in Fenway, and then he went to Houston last year and actually hit for power, which was a little surprising. I think he's going to really be a solid bat that can bat in the 2 spot. Right, exactly.
And average versatile too. I mean, he can play more than one position on the infield, which would help out a lot.
And the A's, you know, they did lose some guys, and I think the big, I guess you could say, clubhouse guy that they lost was Johnny Gomes.
I was thinking the same thing. Thank you.
They may miss Gomes the most in terms of his clubhouse presence, but I think some of these young guys are going to be willing, especially Reddick and Cespedes. They've kind of, towards the end of the year, they came into their own, and they're going to be willing to take over the clubhouse, even though Gomes kind of set the presence. They carried that presence on, even without Gomes. They're going to be able to set that there.
Yeah.
Would it be a stretch to say that as long as they have Bernie in the clubhouse, they'll be fine?
They'll be, with Coco Crisp in that clubhouse,
Very
it's
nice,
going to
Ben.
be
Very
easy.
nice.
So,
All right, well, man, that's you. Okay, well, you talked about, you mentioned the players they lost, Alex. Well, you mentioned a couple of the players they acquired. They also got catcher John Jasso.
Jaso.
Is it Jaso? Thank
Jaso,
you.
yes.
Okay, Jaso. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Shortstop, they brought over shortstop Haruki Nakajima from Japan. What do you think of the players you mentioned? Ben, Alex said who he thinks will make the biggest. Who do you think will make the biggest impact?
Well, the one that jumps out to me is Chris Young. I didn't realize he signed with the A's. He's been overtime.
There was a trade that they had with the Diamondbacks. It was actually I believe, a part of a 3.
Because they got Cliff Pennington and some, the D-backs got Cliff Pennington and some of them.
McCarthy signed as a free agent, but yes, I believe there was a trade that sent Young to, it was a 3-way trade actually with the Miami Marlins that got Heath Bell to come to Arizona. The A's were able to pick up Young, and then they had to get rid of Pennington, but it was fine. And you know what, like you can elaborate now, but Chris Young is a pretty good impact.
Yeah, he's struggled over the years with batting average. He's not a great contact hitter, but he is a big power hitter. And the A's have found a way to use guys like that in the past. They've had a number of guys that just were, it seems like they used him a lot at first base, but also outfield. And, if they can use him effectively, I'm not sure they're going to want him to be a starter every day because he just has these struggles hitting for contact. But if he can be used well, then he could be the biggest addition of all those guys.
The guy I like, because I can see what he will bring to the team right away, what he can bring to this team, whether he's the starting shortstop or off the bench, is Hiroyuki Nakajima. He played 11 years in Japan. He had 302 with 162 homers. This is his Japanese career. 162 homers, 738 RBIs, 319 walks, and a 367. This is the big one for me. 367 on base percentage. This A's team last year, as fun as they were, finished 24th in Major League Baseball, 12th in the AL, which is like,
That would be
in on base percentage is 310. So if this guy can increase, can help the A's with their on base, they get on base more, and that'll be a big plus for this offense.
Now, I'm sure none of us have actually watched the live game. They don't have Japanese league here, but my only curiosity is how close is Japanese baseball to the main league?
It compares pretty well. If you're as successful in Japan as a guy like Ichiro was, or in the Japanese league, it's a very different style. It's actually easier to hit in America than it is in Japan because there's so much more deception in terms of pitches in Japan. There's a lot more off speed. The fastballs aren't as hard, so that's the only issue a lot of young Japanese hitters have. But Nakajima's had a lot of experience in Japan, and he's actually played some American pitchers. When you have 11 years in Japan, there's a lot of pitchers coming over from American pitching that he's faced. I know he's faced Bogosong actually quite a few times when Bogosong was in Japan. So Nakajima should have a pretty good transition.
And at best, he'll be a quality backup.
But even off the bench, if he gets on base, that's going to help the offense.
And I know you're about to transition into predictions. I'm really think this A's team's going to do well. So
well, actually, I am going to. But one quick question before we do that, and that is, we talked about Reddick and Cespedes. This is generally a young team. Alex, I'm going to throw this to you first. Who do you see as this year's possible breakout player for the A's? Who could be a breakout guy?
I really like Jared Parker. Parker, I think he's going to develop into a staff ace. He has the stuff. He never really had he didn't get as much innings as I believe he deserved, especially, he pitched every 5 days, but they kind of kept him on a little bit of a limit. They didn't want to overuse him. I think they're going to kind of let loosen the reins and let him go free. So I think it's about time. Parker's, this is kind of, even though he's only in his second year, this is kind of a, is he going to develop into an ace, or is he going to just be a quality starter? It's that he's at the threshold here, and I think he'll be an ace.
Well, I like, you could make an argument based on his stats last year that he may have had a breakout year last year. But I like Brandon Moss, first baseman for the A's, because I mean he's a guy who played, he played in 133 games. He hit 291, 21 homers, 52 RBIs. The A's have not had a stable, steady first baseman in a long time, and first base has been kind of an issue for them since Giambi left originally left for the Yankees. They had Hatterberg there, he had a couple of good seasons there. Nick Swisher had a good year or two there, but then really since Swisher left in 07, it's been a tough situation over at first base. Dan Johnson wasn't able to get the job done. Derek Boynton's kind of falling out of favor with their organization. So I think the A's, from their standpoint, would really hope that Brandon Moss can really have another second great year and solidify, that word gets used a lot in baseball, solidify first base. Okay, let's get to outlook and predictions now. Ben, let me ask you, do you think, because we also have a Major League Baseball preview, is this the official pick, or is this just a preliminary pick?
Prelim. It's got to be a prelim.
Because I'm remembering...
We got to wait until we get closer to the season start.
Okay, because I'm remembering last year when Dave, you, during FanFest, picked the Giants to be a wildcard team, and then during the MLB preview, you said they'll win the West, which you were right about.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, so okay, this will be preliminary.
You got it right. He's fine.
He did. He got a lot right.
He got the World Series.
He got a lot right. Yeah, we'll mention that. He got a lot right. Ben, let's go over you first.
I'll be a homer. I don't think on paper that they're the best team in the West, but, what the heck. They did it last year, and the Giants seem to do it every year when the Dodgers seem to look better on paper, so. I can't explain it, but I'll pick the A's.
Underdogs, they love it. Go ahead, Alex.
I think the one thing that no one's mentioned, no one here, but no one really is mentioning, is how much of a benefit the A's are going to have with 19 games against the Houston Astros. That is almost, at this point, that's a guarantee.
But if the other team in the division wants 19 games against the Astros,
but that's going to mean that as good as these teams were, the A's won 94 games last year, if I'm not mistaken, and the Rangers won 93. The Angels, even finishing in third place in the division, I believe they won 88, if I'm not mistaken. You can check me on that, Thomas. But now you throw an extra 19 games in that you take away from placing the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Tigers, and you put those against the Astros, you can see each of those teams getting a bump where it may take 100 games to win the division. And it may even be 100 games to get the wild card, the first wild card spot from the AL West. I say the A's win 98 games, benefiting from somewhere in the range of 13 wins against the Astros, but get the first wild card, because I'll give another AL West team, I don't know if I'm picking the Rangers or the Angels, but I'll say they get over 100 and win the division. 98 games, #1 wild card, and they get a home game for the wild card at the Coliseum.
So wait, Ben, you said wild card, what did you say again?
Division.
Division, okay, so AL West champs again, wild card. Dave, real quick.
Baseball preview, I'll give my prediction of what place they'll finish, but I can definitely see them being contenders for at least the wild card spot. And I think they'll have an above 500 record. A little concerned as far as their bullpen, mostly on the closer role. The relievers,
Balfour's injured right now.
Yes.
And Cook, they're very solid relievers. The closer position, that's going to be the question if Balfour can continue what he did last year.
I'm going to say wild card. I like this. I think they could definitely make a push for the division. But, when you're a surprise team, there's always that little worry about falling back the next year.
Extra wins against the Astros.
Yeah, and again, this is my preliminary pick. I don't think I'll see this in the baseball preview. I don't think the Angels rotation is as good as everyone thinks it is. So I'll mention that. So I can see the A's be out. So but I'm going to say A's for the wild card right now. Okay, we are the Sports Junkies on location doing the A's preview from the Java House right along the Embarcadero in San Francisco, right next to AT&T Park. Great place to come out and hang out and talk sports. We will talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching.